Peace be with you. I'm Ivan and today is May 2nd. Every Friday, I bring you a new episode of people and events in church history. Today, let's talk about Hudson Taylor. In 1865 in China, a British missionary made a decision on a beach in Zhejiang province that would change the history of missions in China. James Hudson Taylor had already been serving in China for several years, but on this day, he experienced a profound spiritual turning point. While praying alone on a beach near Ningbo, Taylor clearly felt God calling him to go inland China to share Christ with those who had never heard the gospel. In that moment, he decided to establish a new missionary organization, later known as the China Inland Mission, today called OMF International. Hudson Taylor was born in 1832 in Barnsley, England, and grew up in a devout Christian family. In his youth, he struggled with his faith but experienced a conversion at age 17. He began studying medicine to prepare for his future missionary work in China. In 1853, at the age of 21, Taylor first set foot on Chinese soil and began his missionary journey. However, the true historical turning point was his beach covenant in 1865. During this experience, Taylor not only felt God's burden for inland China but also received a revolutionary missionary strategy. Missionaries should adapt to local culture, including dress and lifestyle. Previously, Western missionaries typically wore Western clothing, lived in foreign concessions, and kept their distance from locals. But Taylor decided to wear Chinese clothing, grow a queue, pigtail, and venture deep into inland China. He said, "Let us in everything not sinful become like the Chinese, that by all means we might save some." This decision shocked the missionary world of the time, but also ushered in a new era of cross-cultural missions. What made Taylor unique was not only his cultural adaptation strategy, but also his adherence to principles of faith. The China Inland Mission did not solicit donations from the public, but relied solely on prayer and God's provision. He often said, "God's work done in God's way will never lack God's supply." Under his leadership, the China Inland Mission recruited numerous missionaries, including many single women, which was very unusual at that time. By the time of Taylor's death in 1905, the China Inland Mission had over 800 missionaries serving throughout China's provinces. Hudson Taylor's influence on the Christian faith has been profound and enduring. His missionary model completely transformed the paradigm of Western missions, emphasizing cultural adaptation and principles of faith. His ministry directly led to large-scale growth of Christianity in China, especially in inland regions. Today, the number of Christians in China may exceed 100 million, partly traceable to Taylor's missionary work and that of the China Inland Mission. From Taylor's life and ministry, we can learn many spiritual lessons. First, his story demonstrates how a person can completely surrender to God's calling, regardless of the cost. Second, he emphasized prayer and faith in God's provision, teaching us to rely completely on God in service. Third, his cultural adaptation strategy reminds us that effective gospel work requires understanding and respecting local culture. Finally, he faced many challenges, including disease, the deaths of family members, and persecution during the Boxer Rebellion, but always maintained his trust in God and love for China. Hudson Taylor experienced many unimaginable difficulties throughout his life, including losing several children and his beloved wife Maria. However, even in the darkest moments, he remained committed to his calling. His famous quote, "If I had 1,000 lives, China should have them all," embodies his deep desire for the salvation of Chinese souls. His life testifies that when a person completely surrenders to God's will, God can accomplish great work through them. Go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation. Mark 16 verse 15. Dear brothers and sisters, as we look back on the lives of spiritual predecessors like Hudson Taylor, let us be reminded of God's sovereignty and grace in history. Their testimonies encourage us to stand firm in trusting God even when facing today's challenges. May we emulate Taylor's faith and obedience, completely entrusting ourselves to God, allowing Him to use our lives to influence this generation. Wherever God calls us to go, whatever difficulties lie ahead, let us remember, God's work done in God's way will never lack God's supply. If you'd like to know more about today's topic or any other content, feel free to leave a comment below. Thank you for your support. Please subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this channel so we can continue growing and learning together. You can also support me on Patreon. Let's keep discovering God, reflecting on faith, and living out Christ. See you tomorrow.